Going on, guys, Jurassic here. Today we're going to be learning how to make neon text inside of Blender. So we're going to start with a general area. Do Control Alt and 0, that way we snap the camera down to the origin on the cube, and now we can get rid of the cube. Hold Shift and A, that way we can add in our text. Now it's going to be facing the wrong way, so click R, X, and 90, that way the text is facing you, and then you can change it to whatever you want to do. Alright, so now that you have your text on inside of Blender, head over to this A down here, and that way you can customize the font. Now, if you don't want to search for a neon font, you can actually have the fill mode selected to none, and it's going to give you somewhat a tube effect. And to do that, you head over to the geometry, and instead of extruding it, you want to add in some depth, and that's going to make it round like so. Or you can change the font completely. I recommend using this Neon Desmond font, and I will have a link down in the description down below to the website, and also a tutorial on how to add font inside of Blender in case you guys can't figure it out. So head down over here, go to our desktop, and search for our neon font. Click open. And as you guys can see, it's going to be opening up in this tube-like effect. We are going to have this just back to the regular mode, though. If you're fine with the font, you can keep the depth 0, or you can customize it from there. It'll just make it look a little bit more thick. So now that you have your font selected, head over to the Scene tab, and we're going to change the engine from Cycles down to Eevee, because Eevee has the bloom effect, which we will need for our text. Ambient occlusion, and make sure you have film selected and turn transparent off. While we're at it, sampling, we're going to increase the render to 500 and the viewport to 256. And the world background down here, we're going to change the color and just lower it all the way down to black. That way we can have a nice reflective font. And before we get into the text too much, we're going to head over to the edit area, go to preferences, and in case you guys don't have it, make sure you guys have the node wrangler on, so there'll be a check mark here. Once we have all that selected, we can head over to the shading tab and start working on our font. So we'll just leave it here just like so. Now we're going to click New. It's going to give us a principled BSDF, which is good to go. We're going to want a emission shader, so search for emission. We'll just leave that here for now, and we're also going to want a mix shader. So underneath the search area, type in mix, and put them down here like that. So one of the shaders goes down to you. We're going to deselect that. This shader comes over into the surface, and the emission comes down to the shader right here. That way it's going to give us the nice cool glow effect. So we're going to lower our principled BSDF down to black, turn the roughness down to 0, and for the color we can just do like a sort of a pink color. And up our strength to about 12, that way we have like a nice shine to it, and swap over to the 4 tab, that way you guys can sort of see what it's looking like. Now, if that's all you guys wanted, you're good to go. However, if you want to go a little bit further, we can add in a color ramp. And that way you can sort of have it so the font like turns on slowly. So we're going to plug in the color into the factor. And it's going to turn black for a second, but don't worry, it'll come back. And then add in a noise texture. So the noise texture is going to plug into the factor. And from the noise texture, do Control and T, and it's going to plug in our mapping node. We can keep that at default. So underneath the color ramp, if we swap this from linear down to constant, it'll be a little bit easier to follow. But as you guys can see, it sort of like fades our font in and out. So if we do a constant down here, that way it's just going to be black and white the whole time. And then you can drag it down right before it turns on, something like that. And if you want to head over here to the top, swap this over to a timeline chart. That way you can keep track of things. Scoot this on over just a little bit. So if you right click and add in a keyframe on the position, and then go over to like 165, for example, and have it so it's fully on, right click, insert a keyframe. Now whenever you play this, it's going to slowly look like it's turning on, which I think is super cool. Now we do have it so it stops at 165, so we don't need any other frames past 165 technically, so we'll cap it at about 170, that way our whole animation's in there. Now you can also upgrade the detail just a little bit, turn this to 16, And I like to play around with the IQR and put this at about 13, which is typically what you have water. That way it just sort of gives it more of like a liquidy effect inside. But yeah, this little short tutorial is how you guys make neon font inside a Blender. If this guys helped you guys out, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.